What's up, guys? Welcome back to the the weekly scraps.
Yo,
I've never had that. Never had that. With that said, we got some big news, some big fight news that were just announced by Dana White. Dana freaking White. Not Dana Brown, Dana White. Dana Brown is the other guy from Karate Combat. If you don't know, I see him. But with that said, I think we got to get into the first one. The one that everyone has been waiting for. The return of Ilia Topuria and who he's going to be fighting. Obviously, JDM beat the former champ in Bilal Muhammad, so that opened the door wide open for a guy like Islam to move up a weight class, for him to challenge for the 170-pound strap at the welterweight division and become a two-division champion. This is huge. Now, Islam is one of the greatest lightweights of all time, in my opinion. I think he surpasses Khabib. Just based on how active he's been. I know some people think he hasn't been the most active. Oh, he's not very active. In terms of Khabib's run, I think Khabib had a total of like 13 or 14 UFC fights. I think Islam is already past that, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure.
Khabib's title run is definitely better.
I mean, is it though? But he's got more wins. It might be better because he's fought all 55ers. Okay. I give him that. But in terms of
it was like
wins,
Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, Max Holloway, Ali Quinta. I think those are better.
Max Holloway. Who fought Max Holloway?
Didn't Khabib? No, he didn't fight Max. He fought. Who was the other one? F me. I'm getting cooked for that. Who was the other one? Connor.
Yeah. He had a great run. I'm not saying, but I'm just talking wins, consecutive wins as a champion. I think Islam is up there. I think, in my opinion, he surpassed him because of all the wins of the credible guys he's beaten to get to the belt, and then the guys he's beaten for the belt. I know the Volk one, you could say he's a 45er, but he beat the guy who was pound for pound at the time. The short notice one, I get that as well. But to do what he did to do Bronx, the way that he did it was super impressive. And I think there's got to be some respect on that. And, of course, Dustin Poirier, after losing multiple title fights, he made a lot of good adjustments, and then for Islam to beat him the way that he did, he had to grit it out. It wasn't an easy fight. It was back and forth. Came down to the fifth round, in my opinion. He got a finish.
I strongly disagree with this.
That Khabib still surpasses him?
He hasn't surpassed Khabib yet.
You don't think so?
No, because, all right, Charles Oliveira, Volk, who's a 45er, Dustin Poirier, who Khabib beat in like 2 rounds. Islam beat him at the end of the 5th round. And struggled way more than Khabib did. And then Moicano. Compared that to Conor, who he finished. Al, who he didn't finish. Justin Gaethje, who he finished, and who else?
Conor.
I said Conor, didn't I?
Poirier.
Dustin, yeah, who he finished. Okay. So,
but I will argue, and I think you would agree with this, that the Poirier who fought Islam is a much better version of the Poirier who fought Khabib. I mean, time only makes you better usually, and I like to think Dustin fought a lot better where he was able to get out of some of those positions and stuff some of those takedowns. And obviously, I know some people are going to say, Khabib is way better than Islam. Yeah, but he's still actively doing it, so we don't really know. We can only go off the data that we have in front of us, and that's the only reason why I'm saying that. But yeah, maybe he hasn't. Maybe if he had one more at 55, but I still think it's an argument to be made that because he has more title defenses, and his run, I think, was just a little bit more active. I mean, he's had a lot of weird circumstances with a lot of the short notice fight, the Bobby Green, the Dan Hooker, all short notices, but he got the finish.
It wasn't like a sick run to the title. It was just like which it wasn't his fault a lot of times because guys
it's
pulled out.
Not his fault. That's why it's hard to.
Is Prime Khabib going 5 rounds with Volk? No chance.
You think so?
No chance it's happening.
I think a lot of people didn't even give him a chance. And the fact that it even came down to the way that it did, I think the sport is just going like this. Even a couple years is just so much different between the skill gap from a couple years ago when Khabib retired to now. I would think those guys would also agree that the talent is much better today than it was back then.
I agree with that. but still, you could say Dustin's better, but you could also say he's a more beat up Dustin Poirier. He's older, and he was coming off a knockout not too long before that.
When you think that would make it easier for him to get knocked out against the better striker in Islam? People say Islam's the better striker, Khabib is the better grappler.
Yeah, and Islam couldn't do it until the 5th round.
But then I think it kind of goes both ways. You can make the argument, well, maybe it's because of this, maybe it's because of that. But the only thing I can go off of is the name value. And I feel like Islam's run's been pretty impressive. Maybe they're neck and neck.
If he beats JDM, he's definitely surpassed Khabib, I think. But right now,
100%.
His title run versus Khabib's title run, you could say Islam's run to the title was more impressive, but I think title run to title run, I don't think Islam's done it.
Title run to title run. Yeah, maybe you're right about that.
Just because 2 wins against a featherweight and then Renato Moicano, no offense to him, but
that's the equivalent of him versus Ally Quinta.
But Al is, in my opinion, a lot better than Moicano.
At the time, yes.
Yeah, like that Al versus that Moicano, I'm taking that Al.
Damn, that's why it's so hard to do. Like when it's different eras, man, it's so hard to, because it's just like we're comparing what we're looking at and just thinking and making our own opinions. But it's hard to really know unless these guys get in there, right? And that's why I always was a little salty that Khabib retired so early, because I felt like he had so much more in the tank to kind of offer us, to give us. Because, again, he had a great title run, but I think because of all the injuries, the weight missing that he had, the situation, the tiramisu gate, whatever, I think it kind of took away from the opportunities of him competing a little bit more frequently. And, of course, injuries and things like that. Not his fault. It's part of the game. These things happen. But I think it would have been nice. I think everyone would agree that it would be nice if Khabib would have sticked around just a little bit longer to give us a little bit more. But obviously, the heart's fulfilled after it's done what it needed to do. So I can never be mad at someone like that making a personal decision. So I'm happy he retired on his terms when he wanted to. But just based on those facts, those things that we can actually look at, it makes it harder to kind of, I don't know. It's a great conversation, and it's between two best friends, right? So there's no right or wrong answer. It's like Marab and I, when people say, like, who's the bantamweight GOAT or whatnot, and between us and Dominic Cruz, it's nice to be amongst that conversation with a really good friend, because then it's just like, either way, even if they don't think it's you, you're still in that conversation, and to lose the spot to your friend, vice versa, I don't think that's a bad thing. With that said, Islam going up to 170 fighting JDM officially, that's great news. May the best man win. I think there's so much potential in this fight. Just the way that JDM performed, I could see him dominating, and then I could also see the other side of it where people believe in Islam so much that he can take JDM down and dominate him the way that we thought Bilal might have been able to do it. And we've heard the stories, and Bilal talked about it, that Khabib and those guys, I don't know how often he grappled with Islam, but he talked about Khabib extensively. I mean, let me not say extensively, but he's talked about Khabib and how good he was and the pressure that he brings. So it makes you wonder, can Islam bring that same skill set to the table and just completely stifle his game? Or will he be game enough to want to challenge him on the feet and make it a striking affair until he needs to utilize the grappling? So that's what makes that fight very interesting. So I'm excited about that. We already talked about the whole thing, the matchups, potential challengers at 170. Now that we have this officially on the books, on the table, it gives us more clarity on what could potentially happen with the other big matchups between Usman and Buckley and who's the other one? Brady and Ian Gary, if that does get booked. I don't know if he didn't announce that one, right?
No,
he didn't. But it at least gives us some more clarity on which direction the next number one contender will be that will be fighting for the title. But with that said, Ilia versus Charles Oliveira, great matchup. Ilia still gets a chance to fight for gold to become a two-weight champion, two-division champion. This is interesting because Oliveira gets dropped every fight, just about every fight. The last 8 fights, I would say. With that said, we know Ilia Topuria can crack. We've seen him get dropped before by Jai Herbert. Came back. That was the first time he fought at 155. He says he feels better at 155. His power is way different at 155. We know he could already crack at 45. What is that power going to translate into at 155? And if he could touch Charles the way he hits everybody else, I think it's a bad night, and I think it's Ilia is a two-division champion. But the grappling department, we haven't seen anyone force the grappling issue against Ilia, and I wonder if Bronx will try to do that to see if he can gas him out and take away some of the pop from his punches. That's the big question mark. Oliveira's not a wrestler. He's going to probably have to use the clinch. He has really good body locks. He might even pull guard if he gets hurt. That's what he does. But he's really good off of his back, except if he's hurt to the point where he can't recover. But he's good at tying guys up. This is a hard one. I like Ilia in this one. I don't know. But it's hard to count out Bronx. Bronx is, I still think he's him. But then I said that about Max. I said that about Volk. And I'm not saying that those guys were going to win against Ilia, but you say that those guys are still them, and then Ilia goes out and does that to them. You're like, fuck.
I don't know.
It's like, who's stopping this guy?
I feel like is it possible that it's just Ilia's time right now? Because I feel like since Charles lost the title, he's had some impressive wins, but like I know you can't do MMA math, but Oliveira versus Chandler versus Paddy Pimblett versus Chandler. Like if you compare those two performances, Oliveira didn't get the job done against Chandler. He got the job done against Dariush, who's also on a losing streak, and then he lost to Sarukian versus Ilia, who's just like on fire, and he's coming up a weight class where he doesn't have to cut weight. He's younger. I don't know, like I kind of feel like it's Ilia's time. Plus, like, where's Oliveira better than Ilia? Well, the jiu-jitsu. But, like, where's Oliveira, like, the much better fighter?
I don't know. Maybe the grappling department.
Is he much better, though?
I don't know. We haven't really seen Ilia's grappling, so it's really hard to say. I mean, he got that one choke against Bryce Mitchell. But outside of that, I mean, he had a little bit of a grappling exchange, but it was a short notice fight against Yusuf Zalal in his debut. And that was a really close fight, a little bit of some back and forth. But where Oliveira is the best, I think, is his grappling. But he's also relies so much on his toughness, his chin, willing to go forward, step into the fire, willing to take one and give one. But I don't know if Ilia is the guy you want to take one to give one with. That's just not this just doesn't seem like the guy you want to exchange punches with. Respectfully, I don't know. I'm interested to know what the approach is going to be, how they're going to attack this. When Ilia's going forward and he gets you to the cage, he does his best work. The only time I've seen Ilia be really vulnerable is his debut, where he gassed a little bit, but it was his debut, so you get a little bit of a bly from that, as we say in Jamaica. You get to give him a bly. And then the other thing was the Jai Herbert fight, his first fight at 155, because they forced him up a weight class, and the head kick. I just think there's some vulnerability with left head kicks. But other than that, he's been damn near perfect. So, yeah, it's really hard. I think Charles is going to have to fight him in space. If he fights him with his back against the cage, it's going to be a bad night. I just can't see how something that this guy is so good at will turn and backfire in such a big moment like this for him.
Do you think the strategy for Oliveira would be like he should put the pressure on, or would that be not wise? Like Ankalaev did with Pereira. I'm thinking, like, is that maybe the game plan?
I think so. I think a guy like Ilia, you have to put him back on his back foot and see how well he fights from that position versus when he's going forward. When he's going forward, he's a nightmare. Not many guys are stopping his pressure, stopping his calf kicks. And even when you throw something, he does such a good job of just sliding back. And then he's going back forward again in that Matador style, just rocking side to side, waiting to slip, waiting to rip. And again, he does his best work. I think it's hard to bet against Ilia in this. It's really obviously it's hard to bet against Charles because of what he's accomplished and how he's come back and turned over his career. But we haven't seen ways of how Ilia could be beaten. but we have seen ways that Charles Oliveira has been beaten. Yes, it's not every fight's the same. You can grow, you can mature, but I feel like I like the guy who's just been perfect so far in the octagon. And like I said, not many holes that we've seen. And if I'm like a guy like Oliveira, he's got confident striking, good knees, good body clinches. He's gonna need to go forward. And how
What
does
are
that
the
look?
drawbacks to going forward against a guy like Ilia? Does it make it easier to get hit?
Yes and no. If you're walking forward recklessly, you're not maintaining the distance. Ilya, when he goes forward, he takes away space. He closes the distance little by little, takes away the real estate. You constantly keep backing up. Next thing you know, you see that little black line. Your back is against the cage, and usually it's a 3-4 punch combination. And
Oof.
as we've seen, you're looking up at the lights.
Yo, that's scary to think about. I just like envision that
It
shit.
just closes the distance on you little by little. He's just taking away the real estate, and he's slowly there in your face. You're trying to strike. He pushes you back. He goes back a little bit, but he comes back. He chips away again. It's a tough out. So I don't know how that works for Oliveira. Either way, it's a good fight because I think the grappling will make things interesting. Because if he can wrestle him early, we don't know if the grappling is a potential way of getting Ilia tired to have more success later in those rounds, especially the championship rounds, right? We've seen him around 5 fights with just Josh Emmett, but it was all striking until he got kind of hurt at the end. It looked like he got hurt or maybe tired, and then he took him down with like the last minute or so, something like that. But other than that, there's too many questions. There's too many. He just looks airtight, so it's really hard. It's really hard to bet against that.
Well, so okay, there's also the range. I think Oliveira is gonna have the range
The reach
advantage.
advantage, yeah.
Yeah. How much of a factor does that play? Because I've heard like Chael say that that's really not. There's actually no advantage to having the reach, but then a lot of other people seem to cite reach advantage as this big deal. So
Yes and no. If it really comes down to how do you close the distance. That's the way I look at it. Someone has a really good reach advantage. How are you getting past that without getting clipped? Especially with the smaller gloves, you got those hand wraps on, turns your fist. Your normal punches in sparring, your hands now become these freaking bricks, bro. Even for me, I'm like, I feel like I could punch through a wall. It's just how I feel after I get my hands wrapped. I'm like, these things could just break cars. So I could only imagine for a puncher like an Oliveira, a Taporia. It's just different, man. I don't, the reach, it just takes a little bit with those 4 ounce gloves. You just need to touch them, especially if you hit them in the right spot above the ear, right in that temple spot. You could catch them on the bridge of the nose coming in, bang. You could bust it up, maybe fuck up the vision. That reach advantage does play a big factor. It just depends if you know how to use it or not. A guy like Kevin Lee, he had like one of the longest reaches at lightweight, but because of his style, he never really utilized it the right way where he can keep guys at a distance and pick his shots, pick them apart, and then use his grappling. He was always jamming himself up on punches, and that was one of the things we studied when Al was getting ready to fight him both times.
okay.
So it just really depends. Do Bronx.
So who's your prediction?
I'm leaning towards Ilya. I'm leaning towards Ilya. I think that's smart money. Of course, Oliveira could win. Like I said, if he can grapple with him early, maybe he surprises us and shows us that Ilya can get tired and take off some of the sting of those punches. But then, what does that look like for Oliveira in the later rounds? Can he keep his hands up and defend the right way, especially if he doesn't get a finish? And how does he get the takedown? He's got to close the distance to get the takedown against a shorter dude. How are you doing that? You got to get underneath him. It's hard.
All right. Let's move on. Another fight that got announced August 16th in Chicago. Dricus versus Khamzat. My
Khamzat back to the
hometown.
States.
This is a fucking interesting one. We've talked about this on the pod before. If they like as because this fight was like in talks.
Yeah.
I think we both kind of thought Dricus could be the winner. But I'm curious what you think now.
I just don't know if Hamzat's going to be able to bully him in the first round like he bullies everybody else. I just don't see it.
So is that to you Hamzat's only way to beat a guy like Dricus, or is there a way he wins in the distance?
Maybe striking. But if he could take him down and get his back early, that's where he's most dangerous. If he takes you down and gets your back early, that fight could be as good as over. But again, it's against a big, strong guy like Dricus. I've counted him out so many times. I feel silly for me to count him out again, and then he just shuts me up again. It's just like, and it's not shutting me up and like I'm saying anything disrespectful at all. You watch him fight, and it just looks like he's pressing buttons on the controller, bro. It's insane. And he even said, he's like, "Do you think you could strike pretty with a guy like Izzy?" And I thought that was one of the most honest assessments. I was like, "Yeah, you're right. You can't fight Izzy pretty. You got to make it a fight. You got to scrap. You got to do weird stuff and try to get to this guy to put some pain on him." And that's exactly what he did in all his fights. He's not a pretty striker. He just starts thumping you, going full on Homer Simpson, and he finds a way to win.
So, so let's say he doesn't get it done in the first round. Is it pretty much like you think there's no way for Khamzat to win?
Khamzat's a dog. I mean, we've seen that with the Usman fight, gritted it out. We've seen it with the Gilbert Burns fight. He's got heart. He's got grit. I think after having that war with Gilbert Burns, he was kind of like, I don't know if I need to keep fighting like this. Once is enough. I gave the fans a show. Luckily he was able to still get the win in a very close back and forth fight. I don't know if he's gonna look to do that again. But Dricus is gonna force him to trade, and I think Dricus is the harder puncher. At least from the fights I'm looking at, right? I think it's this weird thumping, but it just looks like those thumps just leave knots.
But is there any way that like maybe Khamzat decides to take it easier in the first round and not try to just gas pedal him? And
I've never seen him do that. Khamzat is I kill everybody, brother. I kill everybody, brother. First round, brother. Yeah, brother.
I don't know, man. I feel like if he's able to chill out, I think he could get it done in the distance, but I don't know if he has that in him.
Yeah. And we've always questioned his cardio in the later rounds.
Yeah.
And Dricus, I used to question his cardio all the time, but then he got something fixed, he said, and he's looked great as of late. It's like it's undeniable. He's made improvements, and he understands his style. I would like to see Khamzat win. I just think this is a hard fight. I like Khamzat. I think Khamzat's a freaking dog. Bro. He's entertaining. He's fun. He puts on great fights. And as a grappler, man, he just runs through people. Hot knife through butter.
I don't know. I would like to see Dricus beat him.
I mean, it'd be chaos.
That would be crazy.
Yeah. And then both of them fought Robert Whittaker. They both finished him. But the way
early.
Yeah. And that's what makes it interesting because Khamzat did it a little bit more impressively. Like kind of just picked him up and slammed him down. And yeah, obviously he had a broken jaw front before, so he tapped really fast because it just kind of smashed all over again. But with that said, like to do that to Robert Whittaker, no one does that to him like that. Who has ever done that to Robert Whittaker?
Nobody. Except, Izzy knocked him out, but that's a different story. I don't know. I feel like Dricus will get it done, bro. I also like he's a fucking brick wall.
He's huge.
Like that's not a guy you can just like throw around, pause, and then
you don't want to throw him around. Energy. You want to throw him around.
I kind of would throw him around. Okay.
You want to throw around Dricus a little bit? You want that DDP?
I'll do whatever to him.
You want that DDP?
That BBC DDP?
Hey, yo. Yeah, I don't know who to pick on this. I'm torn. I'm torn. I want Khamzat to win. But I think this is a very tough. I think this is an extremely tougher fight than he might even realize. DDP might not look impressive in any facet of the game, but he's powerful. He's big for the weight. He's got some solid grappling. He's not. I don't feel like he's an expert. Like just watching him, I'm like, what is your expertise? He just does a great job of mixing it all up, and even doing stuff unconventionally, and making it look like it just works. Because I mean, clearly it's working for him. I don't think everyone can fight like Dricus and have the same success. It's just I can't see people doing that, especially in my weight.
He's effective everywhere, and neither him nor Khamzat are very technical on the feet. You know?
Yeah. I hope they grapple. I hope they make it a fun grappling fight. And then I hope they be like, fuck this, let's strike.
Yeah, bro. Like, I could see this being a war. Even if it gets past the first round, like, I feel like the fight with Gilbert Burns and Khamzat definitely got more tired, but he still was scrapping.
That dog.
And that shit was, like, mad entertaining. So I honestly feel like that's how the fight's going to go. Like, Khamzat does well in the first round, but doesn't get it done, and then it's just a scrap for the rest of the fight.
It might look similar to Usman versus Kobe 1.
I could see that.
Which was just madness. Two high-level grapplers just deciding to say, F it, we're going to fight on the feet and figure this out.
That's going to be crazy.
You're picking Dricus.
I'm picking Dricus.
I'm going Khamzat.
You're going Khamzat?
I feel like I shouldn't. But
Come on, bro.
I'm going Khamzat because I want him to win.
Who do you actually think is going to win? No politics, no keeping everybody happy. Who do you actually think is going to win? Man to man.
Man to public. I think Dricus, but I want Khamzat to win. This is like a Bo Nickal situation. I wanted Bo to win, but I just didn't think he was going to get it done.
If Khamzat loses, that's fucking crazy. Also, I said this on the last pod that I was on, but everyone's talking shit about how the UFC is boring, blah, blah, blah. Then they drop this shit. Like, they always do this every year. Like, it's boring the first few months, and then, boom, crazy card, crazy card, crazy card, crazy card.
Yeah, I get what people are saying. For the price tag, they don't want to spend so much money on every single fight card that's not a UFC 300 level type of booking. But I'm also like, well, you're paying for the main card. That's one. So you're not paying for the entire card. But for them to give you 5 solid fights that mean something, high-ranked guys or title fights, it's extremely difficult to get everyone from the division for the entire 12 months of the year. So you got to be realistic with that. You got to get guys to build up fights, build up win streaks on these other fight night cards and events like that. You give them time to heal up. So you're not going to have a banger every single pay-per-view. You might have 2 or 3 really solid fights. I would love to have 5 solid fights every single card, every single pay-per-view. But realistically, like the high-level, top-level guys, they don't fight as often because once you get to the top 5, it's really hard to get bookings because you need fights that mean something within the top 5. So you can't always do that. So it's really hard. So I get what they're saying, but at the same time, it's like, well, you got to have it. You can't have it both ways. You just can't.
I feel like if you have 2 good fights on every main card, that's worth $80.
I say 3. I'd say 2 really good fights
bangers,
and then 1 pivotal fight for a division.
Yeah.
And I think I'm happy with that.
Yeah. How could you complain about that? All right, so next we got, I think last week they announced for Dustin's retirement fight, they're doing Holloway versus Dustin for the BMF belt. I know you hate this shit. Aljo hates it when 2 of his boys are fighting.
It's not, well, I wouldn't say they're like my boys, but, I respect both of them. Trained with Holloway. I've hung out with Dustin and his family after fights before. Really cool dude. But I just think this third rematch, this trilogy just doesn't make a lot of sense. Yeah, it's going to be a good fight. But is this the one that he should be having a send-off with for the third? He beat Holloway twice. Like, for him to beat him a third time, does it mean much? But for him to lose on his way out after getting 2 dubs over him, that would hurt me more as me being Dustin Poirier. I would just, and of course you're not losing to a scrub, but I'm like, damn, I had 2 dubs. Why am I taking this third fight? I don't need this third fight. But that's probably the most exciting one that he could get within the top 5.
Dude, I get what you're saying, but at the same time, it's like this fight. There's no more guaranteed of a sick fight than this fight.
Yeah,
Like there's no better. Like who else could he fight that's ranked?
Fazeev.
Yeah, fuck that though. That fight actually means something.
Why not have a fight that means something on your way out?
Because if he wins, if he beats Holloway, it's like they're both legends already. But if he beats Fazeev, it's like now Fazeev's set back, and then this guy's gonna ride off into the sunset. Now we gotta like give Fazeev way more time. We need contenders. You know what I mean?
What if he were to beat Fazeev? If he were to beat him, say, you know what, I'm gonna make one more run.
I think even if he beats Holloway, he could say that because now Islam's gone, right? Let's say Dustin beats Holloway, right? Gets the BMF belt. He's BMF champ. And he's like, oh, I'll fight Ilia for the title.
I'm
Fuck it.
saying,
But like, I don't mind him fighting. I would rather him fight Max than Fazeev. Him and Max is like, literally take my money. I would pay $80 just for that fight.
nah,
Just
you're
'cause
not
it's
wrong.
Such a sick fight.
I think it's a great fight. It's just if I'm 2-0 against somebody, bro, for me to risk the biscuit for a third fight is just like, what am I getting out of this?
Yeah, but think about it. If you know it's your last fight, are you really thinking
Yes.
like that? I feel like that's contender thought. Like,
No. That's for me and that's me, my ego, and my legacy to know that I closed a chapter on this guy and I gave him another shot. He couldn't get it done. I'm the guy over this guy. Maybe
Yeah,
that's
but
just the man side.
who would you rather
competitor.
lose to on your way out, Fazeev or Holloway?
Neither. Fuck.
I would rather lose to Holloway
Yeah.
because it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, all right, it's Max. Like we love both these guys. You
Then
know,
why not do Gaethje a third time?
because Max is more iconic than Gaethje.
Well, which fight means something more?
Max is the BMF holder, and he knocked out Gaethje. I'd rather fight. Gaethje would be cool though because it's like
It'd be their third. They're
they're
one
1-1.
apiece.
Yeah, that would be cool though.
You see
That
that,
would
but
be
that
cool.
makes sense to me.
But I also feel like Gaethje's kind of like. Did he win his last fight?
He beat Fazeev. Fazeev
Max
came out
just
red
got
hot in
knocked
the
out.
first round, took him down. I was like, oh, he's using wrestling?
Bro, they should all
He's
just fight
wrestling.
each other at the same time.
Freaking triple threat match. Fuck it. Book it. Dana, run it. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. It's a good fight. I don't know who else is there. You're not going to give him an up-and-coming guy because if I'm him, I'm not taking that. You want to fight that means something. You can't knock off a contender. But then if you know the contender is more than likely going to win, is it such a bad thing? Because what if in the back of your mind you are having those thoughts like, yeah, I could maybe make one more run. If he beats Holloway, who's now stuck at 55 and not going back down to 45, if he beats him for a third time, Islam is gone. The light bulbs are going off in my head. Honey, we done it. We're going to go for the title one more time again. Yeah.
And he'll get pay-per-view for that fight. If he fights Ilia, he'll get pay-per-view points. If he's the BMF title holder.
Yeah.
And that's a guaranteed fucking banger, bro.
I think Ilya's a lot more technical than Dustin, but Dustin's got that he's got the hillbilly shell, bro. He got that Louisiana. I'm leaning towards the diamond.
He's
I
just
mean,
a savage, bro.
the second fight was so close. I think it was a split decision. I think for the interim title, he dominated the first fight. Well, Max was giving him trouble early on with his footwork. Then he took him down and submitted him with a mounted armbar triangle. Then the second fight was really close, and now here we got the third coming up. I lean towards the diamond. It'll be a good fight. Either way, may the best man win, man. They're both great family guys. I respect the shit out of both of these guys, man. I like watch all these guys. I fought on the same card as Holloway multiple times. Went out to train with him twice. Great dude. Good energy. Super positive guy. Rolls with the punches. Dustin, the same thing, man. It's hard to knock a guy down like him. Who every time he has lost, he's built himself back up and put himself back into title contention or to fight for a title again. That's saying a lot. It's a tough fight. It's sad that he's retiring. I'm gonna miss the guy. The game is about to lose a good one.
He's not retiring. He's gonna beat Max and fight for the title.
We'll see.
That's just a fact. All right, Usman, Buckley. How do you score this one?
Buckley is red hot right now. Usman, layoffs kill you, man. And facts are the facts. You can always disprove that and put on a great performance. His fight with Khamzat showed that he still got it. Stepped up on short notice. I think it was like 11 or 15 days, something like that. But he stepped up, gave him a run for his money, came down to that third round, I thought. Maybe not. But it looked like he had Khamzat in some trouble. Maybe it was 2-0 going into the third. I don't really remember, but I just remember it was a great fight. The first round he was getting kind of killed, dominated, was able to defend the choke, looked like it was on. But again, that layoff, it kills you. The injuries, they kill you. He has a lot.
Year and a half ago.
Yeah, but he has a lot more going against him than he does going for him. Where Buckley has everything going for him right now. The momentum, the confidence. You hear the way he's talking online. It's not like he's talking shit. He's just talking really, really confident. And he believes in everything he does. His power, his punches, his technique. He's black. He's athletic.
True for both of these guys.
They're both black and athletic. But there's a difference with the athleticism of Buckley. Buckley is explosive. When he's like this and he's ready to knock if you buck, and then he's freaking shucking and jiving, and then he come in, he starts swinging them bungalows. You better watch out. You better watch out, Buckley. Yo, when he hit Wonder Boy with that shit against the cage, I was like, oh. He leaped into that punch, just boom, cracked him. That you can't. Bro. It's hard to factor in for that type of explosiveness and accuracy. He pinged him right on the chin, like he had a homing device in his freaking fist. And Wonder Boy was still fighting pretty well, but Father Time catches up to everybody. And I feel like this might be the passing of the torch. Either way, whoever wins this fight is a shoo-in for the
Buckley fight.
Huh?
What happened in the Buckley fight? He beat him, right?
What fight?
I'm sorry, in the Colby fight.
He dominated him.
Yeah, it's not saying win on here.
Man, he schooled Colby. It wasn't even close.
That's what I thought. Yo, he's on a crazy streak.
I know. I think he was on a 6 or 7. 6.
He was on a 3-4. Nah, he lost to Chris Curtis, then he went down to welterweight. Okay.
Yes.
Yo, the fact that he fought Chris Curtis is crazy.
But then, where's he at now? How many fights in a row? 5, 6?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's fucking insane.
He went on an insane run.
And he has one of the sickest knockouts of all time.
The highlight spinning back kick over Kasanganai, Impa Kasanganai. Viral. But it's crazy because he lost to Kevin Holland at 85. They both go down to 70. They both have some success. Kevin decided to go back up to 85, which I don't understand why. But it just goes to show you, who's it?
A long time ago. He lost to Holland 5 years ago.
Yeah, but they were both at 85. They were both in the wrong weight class. Not cutting any weight. They both didn't want to cut. They were both just black and athletic, and we're getting by with just being black and athletic. It might sound funny to say it, but I can say that shit. These guys were just two brothers, just straight up athletic, winning on straight up athleticism, and Kevin just being long and lanky, talking shit in the fights, and then Buckley just knucking if you buck. And now they're both at 170, having success. I think Holland could do the same thing. I think he just got to stay the path and keep tightening some things up. But there's no difference why Buckley should be doing this and Kevin's going down this way. Obviously, matchups play a factor, but I don't think Holland is that far off in terms of technique. He's taken some tough fights, but Buckley has passed those tests with these tough fights. Wonder Boy's a nightmare for everybody. The fact that he was able to do that to Wonder Boy, it says a lot. He's ready for the elite. And
No,
that's
definitely.
why the Usman fight, all the injuries, I know he's talked extensively about his knees, but then I also heard him say something like his knees aren't that bad. He had to take off a lot of time to rehab. I just feel one guy has a lot more momentum than the other, especially coming back off the couch. It's going to be a tough task for Usman, but if Usman wins, he's back and possibly next in line for the title shot if he can win and win impressively.
If the only thing is the age, but I mean, the way he performed against Khamzat versus how Buckley performed at that weight class, I don't know. I feel like Kamaru has a better chance than a lot of people probably think.
Yeah, but the one thing that Usman hasn't had to deal with a lot of is athleticism. Buckley explodes into punches and the timing. Like Usman does a great job with the feints, sticking the long jab, which he's been working on with Trevor Whitman for a while now. So he fights well. He fights smart. Styles make fights, and I think when you have to deal with someone who's super explosive, like Hamzat is explosive, but in a different way, where it's more like wrestling. When someone is explosive with strikes, I think there's a lot more of a danger factor because they can clip you and put you out. The same thing with the Woodley fight, not the Woodley fight, the Buckley and Wonder Boy, Buckley and some of the other guys he's beaten. I almost feel like he just catches them by surprise because he can explode and leap into those shots. And he even fought that one guy I think that was undefeated, or maybe he wasn't undefeated, but he was like on a crazy run. It was like 18-1 or 18-2. Yeah, yeah, that guy. And I felt like that was a coming out party because that guy was supposed to be like the next big thing, and I believe he was on a crazy run, and he had an amazing story. And then he ran into Buckley. Like all his other fights, he looked impressive. Bruno Ferreira, Cedriques Dumas, killed those guys both in round one. And his last fight, he beat his guy in round two, finish as well. A bunch of round one finishes, man. Like you look at his record. So I just think that there's a lot to be said about his style. Colby Covington, he bullied him bad. Vicente Luque bullied him. Alex Morono fight was interesting because I thought Morono fought him pretty well and was able to survive. But yeah, I don't know if Usman has fought anyone as athletic as this guy. Who not I don't want to say athletic, just explosive. Explosiveness is a big thing. Like Tyron Woodley, when he was on top, he knocked out Robbie Lawler by being super explosive. Woodley would wait and wait and wait and wait and wait some more, lull you to sleep, and then he would just sprint and blitz you, and then he would just knock guys out that way. That was his way of catching guys. And then he got to a point where he fought a little bit more safe, taking less chances. The fights weren't as exciting. But the same thing, he dropped Wonder Boy doing the same thing, catching him by surprise and being explosive. And it's not like he's just out there being technical and trading punches. He's waiting for the kill shot, exploding into it, whether it's technical or not. If it connects, he's putting you down or hurting you really, really bad. So I think stylistically, this is a tough one for Usman. Looking at his record, he fought Hamzat, very athletic dude, explosive when it comes to wrestling, but on the feet is a little bit more easy to deal with. Leon Edwards not the most explosive guy, and when I say explosive, I think people should understand what I mean. It's just like a straight pop. Leon obviously throwing the cross into a head kick was a very technical thing, clean. Masvidal when he fought Darren Till and he blitzed him, super athletic. So maybe that's the one guy he fought that's like explosive. But now you got explosive and powerful. That's just it's a game. That's a game changer, man. It's a great fight. Usman has the abilities to slow him down. It's just that he hasn't fought in so long. It makes it tough for me to bet on him. And a guy who's red hot right now, been more active, talking his shit, feeling hella confident that he's the real king of the division right now and the boogeyman of the division. It's hard to bet against a guy like that. I wouldn't be surprised if Buckley's the favorite coming into this one.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think Buckley probably gets it done.
Let me see. Usman versus Buckley odds. I just want to see what the current odds are. Um, Fight odds. The betting line says Usman's plus 190. Buckley's a minus 225 favorite. And I think they're looking at the same thing. I think timing, it's just everything. He's just been out of the game for so long. Would it be nice to see Usman win? Hell yeah. To see the king come back and then reclaim gold again or an opportunity to fight for gold again, that's huge. Not a lot of guys can do that, especially off of a 3-fight losing skid and coming back and injecting himself back into the title picture. Like straight up venom in your veins. It's gonna be a good fight, man. My brothers, I hope there's peace and love at the end of this. But as Buckley said, he need to get his M's. He need to get paid. He need to feed him kids. I get it. My boy need to feed them. He needs some money.
All right, let's do a quick. There was a bunch of other fights announced today. Let's do a quick, like early predictions sprint round. Just I'm gonna say the fight. You say who you think's gonna win, and I'll go on to the next fight.
This sprint
All right.
round is brought to you by Funk Harbor. To the moon, baby. To the moon.
Ilia versus Charles.
Ilia.
Dricus versus Khamzat.
Khamzat. I'm switching. Okay, Dricus.
Holloway versus Poirier.
I think Poirier gets it done.
Usman versus Buckley.
I think it's Buckley's time. In a close one, I think it's Buckley's time.
Paulo Costa versus Roman Kapilov.
I think Kopylov wants it more, man. I don't know where the head's at of Costa. I think it's Kopylov who's on the up. Costa seems to. That Strickland fight was weird, man. It was super weird, especially after all that beef. Right? I mean, that was a weird fight. He just got teeped to death.
Beneil Dariush versus Renato Moicano.
I think Dariush.
Brandon Royval versus Manel Kopp.
Manel Kopp.
Jack Hermanson versus Gregory Rodriguez.
Hermanson. I think Hermanson still got the experience on the side. He doesn't take too much damage.
Vivian Araujo versus Tracy Cortez.
I don't really remember Araujo's fights, if I'm being honest. So this is I don't even know if I'm allowed to pick.
All right. Janata Denise versus Justin Tafa.
I think the Denise guy. If the Denise guy is the guy I'm thinking about, I think he's on a nice little. He's got some good momentum. Good boxer, if I remember correctly.
All right, it's a wrap. Funk Harbor.
Why are you smiling like that?
Because you look stressed from
I'm
doing those
stressed.
predictions.
And make sure you put this in. I'm stressed because I know so many of these fighters, and sometimes when they hear or see that I pick against them, it stabs you in the heart a little bit because it's just like, oh damn, that's how you feel. But it's like, no, that's not how I feel. It's just I'm just talking. I'm not saying you're gonna get fucked up. I'm just saying I think this guy might edge it out. Pause. No diddy.
Hey, yo.
But that's why I don't
He-
like
he
making
might-
fight picks, man. I don't like when people pick against me either. 'Cause I take that shit personal. Not like I hate you. I take it personal that I'm gonna prove you wrong. So prove me wrong.
All right. Any closing words?
Closing words. Stay safe out there. The weather's heating up. Um, I had a great sparring session today with Marab. Really fun rounds. Trying to be as Sean O'Malley-esque. The guys all loved it because it was like, yo, that was like perfect. All the movement, the head fakes, the showing the uppercut hook into the cross, doing the basketball shit, shenanigans, taunting a little bit, throwing the long teep kick, trying to touch the rib, see if I can hit the liver. Just giving him all the looks that he needs, throwing the long 1-2, staying long, controlling the distance with the lead hand out, 1-2 down the middle, like really fast, not like a clean 1-2 snapping like how you would do like a traditional boxer. Just a quick, ta-ta. Just trying to be quick because that's what he's going to be doing, going to the body, just giving him all the right looks that he needs so that he could be well prepared. So I'm excited for him, man. Gave him 3 hard rounds as best as I could today and last week, Saturday. I told him like maybe I take Thursday off and we spar again Saturday, just so he could get some different looks. Yeah, all that good stuff, man. So it's really good time right now. Really believe Marab is going to get it done again, and I'm super excited for him to get his second title defense and join the club of the elites, baby. He's already in the club, but to surpass, he's one step closer. This will make him one step closer to Timey, then to obviously hoping that he beats my record. I would be happy if anyone beats my record for it to be him. I'd be really happy.
Bro, that'd be sick.
Yeah.
That'd be epic.
Should we do Burns and Michael Morales or no?
I don't really know Michael Morales like that.
He's undefeated prospect. We don't have to. But that's the fight at the Apex, the main event. Gilbert Burns taking on this undefeated guy. He's actually really good though. But all good. Guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I think Jake did a much better job today, so don't butcher him. With that said, thank you guys for always tuning in, supporting, and thank you guys for the purchases online for the Funk Harbor Rum, man. It goes a long way, especially to help us reinvest into the brand. Obviously, I'm doing this. I invested my own money from fighting. It's not money that I'm getting from anybody else. It's my own hard earnings. And if you guys have any restaurants or things like that, especially in the California, New York, New Jersey, Florida area, or even Nevada, please hit me up. Reach out through my website or reach out through my social media channels. Don't DM me. Send me an actual email so I know it's serious. And we can try to coordinate something with distribution and get the product in the stores. So thank you guys. Hope to see you at the next episode. And let me know what you think about our picks. If we're proper dickheads, let's let us know. Yeah?
Let's get it, bro.
Get it, bro. What?
That funk harbor's hitting me right now.
Get it, bro. All right. Peace. Get it, bro. It's hilarious. The most